Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Andrew is away. Tonight, Premier Jason Kenney announces new COVID restrictions as the fourth wave crashes through Alberta.
This is now the only responsible choice that we have.
Details on a proof-of-vaccination program and a renewed push to get the shot.
It is now clear that we were wrong, and for that, I apologize.
Face-to-face with the Green Party leader.
Even with a small caucus in the last parliament, we always punch above our weight.
Annamie Paul answers questions from undecided voters, and Rosie about party unity, her plan and her future.
Does that mean if you don't win your seat, you will no longer be leader?
Inflation hits an 18-year high.
It's a big hit to the wallet for sure.
What's causing it, and will Canadians see relief? Emotional testimony from U.S. Olympian Simone Biles on the sexual abuse suffered at the hands of Larry Nassar.
I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse.
This is The National. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Alberta. Premier Jason Kenney announcing new measures, including a proof-of-vaccination system to fight a fourth wave surging out of control.
The government has reluctantly decided to adopt the restriction exemption program, a proof of vaccination program for participation in certain discretionary activities that have a higher risk of viral transmission.
So the province is also bringing in other measures to try to curb the spread of COVID-19, including new capacity limits, new physical distancing rules, and a mandatory work-from-home order for many businesses. Carolyn Dunn is in Calgary, has been following this announcement closely. So, Carolyn, I know you've been listening to Jason Kenney. What stood out for you?
Well, we are officially in a state of public health emergency, Adrienne. And you talked about that vaccine passport by another name at the top there. And that is something Jason Kenney has been loath to do, has said he would not do, and yet effective September 20th, that's exactly what he is going to do. Basically, how this is going to work is businesses and events that demand their customers and attendees be vaccinated, they will be exempt from public health restrictions that were announced today, and there is a long list of them. Just a few: shutting down indoor dining and bars, shutting down fitness centers, limiting capacity on retail, on faith services. There's going to be mandatory masking in schools for grades 4 and up, and that work from home restriction that you mentioned. Vaccinated folks can get together, but only in groups of 10 and 2 households. Unvaccinated folks, not permitted to gather whatsoever. And as the province is literally 10 days from running out of ICU beds and the staff to keep them running, the Premier did what he has not done before: expressed regret.
Based on our analysis of other jurisdictions around the world with similar rates of vaccination, we believed that we could prudently move away from addressing COVID as a pandemic and towards an endemic. It is now clear that we were wrong, and for that, I apologize.
Okay, so the bottom line, though, Carolyn, is we know the healthcare system in Alberta is clearly reaching the breaking point. What is the plan to handle that? Because it's an immediate emergency.
It absolutely is. And the president and CEO of Alberta Health Services, Dr. Verna Yu, came out and said that the province has reached out to other provinces to be able to airlift patients to other ICU units if that becomes necessary. It's not a protocol that is enacted now, but they are gearing up for it and making sure that they are ready for it. Dr. Yu also apologized for the thousands of Albertans who have not had appropriate health care, have had canceled surgeries because of this massive wave that is nearly paralyzing hospitals. The only thing we heard more than apologies in this was pleas to be vaccinated.
All right, Carolyn Dunn in Calgary. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks.
New Brunswick's latest COVID surge pushed that province to introduce new health measures today as well, including a proof-of-vaccination program.
It's important that we impact the daily routine of people that could be vaccinated and have chosen not to be.
Proof will be required to access non-essential businesses starting next Wednesday. It comes as the province reported a record 63 new COVID cases today. Health measures are also being tightened on PEI. Now, today we got official confirmation that consumer costs are surging in Canada. You may have already noticed there's growing pressure on your take-home pay. Here are some of those tough details. In August, the Consumer Price Index was up 4.1% over August of 2020. That is the biggest year-to-year jump since 2003. The cost of meat is up nearly 7%. And the Home Replacement Cost Index, which is related to the price of new housing, rose by 14%. It has not done that since the 1980s. All this near the end of an election campaign that is partly about affordability. We will tell you why the inflation trend is happening and how long it may last. But Jacqueline Hansen begins with the skyrocketing cost of one product many of you depend on every day.
In Victoria, Ben Wood tries to avoid driving his truck these days. With gas at nearly $1.60 a litre, it costs him $150 a tank.
It's a big hit to the wallet for sure.
He's not alone.
I drive less now.
I've been walking more to work.
It's unbelievable how it's just going up.
Gas prices plunged when the pandemic first hit, along with oil, but since then climbed higher and higher. In August, Statistics Canada says prices jumped more than 32% compared to last year.
Unfortunately, we're not going to get much relief on the energy front for a while.
The price of vehicles is also up as global supply chain problems persist. Higher costs at restaurants and hotels or for furniture and appliances. Those should be short-lived, according to the Bank of Canada, because they're being driven partly by pent-up demand as the economy reopens and Canadians spend again.
That demand is pretty well exhausted.
This economist says what he's watching in particular are wages. If those rise in a significant way, higher prices, he says, could be here to stay.
That's kind of the wild card. You know, how readily can businesses pass a higher wage bill onto their customers? That could really determine how much inflation on a sustained basis we see in the next 1 to 2 years.
In Ontario, where some restaurants were closed longer than anywhere else in the country, some customers say they're willing to pay a little more to help get them back on their feet.
I feel actually just so happy to eat outdoors and catch up with friends, and I'm like, ooh, this is kind of a priceless situation.
And there's some hope that as life and the economy get back into step, prices will also return to normal.
Maybe those prices will regulate back to what they were pre-pandemic.
So Canadians' cash can go a little further and help more businesses make a comeback. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, so let's go deeper on this with our senior business correspondent, Peter Armstrong. So, Peter, a lot of this sort of talk is very unnerving for people. Where does it go from here?
The fact is, Adrienne, we really just don't know. And you have those who believe that depends on why they think all this is happening. And are we seeing inflation rise because, interest rates are low and stimulus money is flooded into the world? And then you have those wondering, is this just a long-term trend or a temporary blip? And that's the debate. But it's important to keep an eye on the context here. This chart by Trevor Toome at the University of Calgary shows what inflation would have looked like if it had just chugged along over the past few years at its target rate of 2%. You can see it dipped well below target when the crisis began, and it's only creeping above that dotted line now. A lot of that is just bounce back from lower prices when COVID shut everything down. And Adrienne, all these economic explanations, they do matter, but they're pretty cold comfort to anyone who's buying really just about anything right now.
So we heard Jacqueline Hansen talk about supply chain issues. Any sense of when that gets sorted out?
It's going to be years. That's the hard, cold truth of it. And there are two big issues within that. First is actual shipping disruptions and delays and slowdowns. But then you've got the specific issue around microchips. There's a huge global shortage, and that's the thing that's delaying auto production, for example. And you can't build a new microchip factory overnight, so it's going to take time, and it's going to wreak havoc for a little while yet.
Perfect. Peter Armstrong, thanks very much.
You bet.
The federal party leaders have just days left to win over voters before the election on Monday. On the campaign trail today, they were pushing their messages and pushing back against distractions. Let's begin with the Conservative campaign and Hannah Thibodeau.
With only days left in the campaign, Erin O'Toole is making a push for centrist voters.
We're not your dad's Conservative Party anymore.
But endorsing him tonight, your dad's Progressive Conservative Prime Minister, Brian Mulroney.
I'm here for one single reason, to help elect Erin O'Toole as the next Prime Minister of Canada.
O'Toole says he's reshaped a more moderate party. But when asked why he continues to allow candidates who have made racist comments or those who have spread conspiracy theories about vaccines to stay, he said the candidates have apologized.
I'm Ashley Burke, traveling with the Liberals. Justin Trudeau started his day in Nova Scotia, contrasting his party with the Conservatives on health care.
We are spending more in the first year on eliminating the backlog than they are spending entirely over the first 5 years on everything from transfers to mental health to everything else.
He made that announcement in a province where health care is top of mind. It played a key role in last month's provincial election, which saw the provincial Liberals go down to defeat. Trudeau is hoping to avoid the same fate.
I'm Olivia Stefanovich with NDP leader Jagmeet Singh in southern Ontario, a seat-rich region where Singh is promoting his campaign promises, such as taking profit out of long-term care and urging progressives not to vote strategically. But his message is being overshadowed by the resignation of two NDP candidates over comments they made about Israel and the Holocaust.
These candidates made a decision to leave. I think that was the right decision. I want to be very clear. Their comments were completely wrong and have no place in our party.
The candidates were running in Toronto, St. Paul's, and Nova Scotia's Cumberland, Colchester. The NDP wasn't expected to win either seat.
Now, the Liberals have faced criticism for failing to meet their own targets when it comes to clean drinking water in First Nations. But today, one community is having its boil water advisory lifted. Shoal Lake 40 First Nation is about 2 hours east of Winnipeg, straddling the border between Manitoba and Ontario. And as Cameron McIntosh shows us, with today's optimism, there is, of course, recognition of how long it took to get there.
Clear blue on the Canadian Shield, Shoal Lake has provided Winnipeg's drinking water for a century. The cruel irony, the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation that lives on the lake's shore has been on boil water advisories for almost 25 years.
And the reading we got right now is 0.31. That's probably as good as what I'm drinking in Winnipeg? Yeah, that's probably maybe even better.
Now this new $32 million water treatment plant is going online. Siobhan Green grew up with water advisories here.
I'll put us in the water to give thanks.
With an offering of tobacco, she prays her daughter won't.
So I kind of don't know how it is to have clean water.
Now, this is part of a promise that was made in the 2015 campaign by the Trudeau Liberals, promising to get all First Nations on long-term boil water advisories off of them by March 2021. Here in Shoal Lake, it comes late. For more than 30 other communities, it hasn't come yet. This week, the NDP made a point of it in a community waiting for upgrades.
Many still do not have clean drinking water.
It's also a recurring theme in debates and interviews.
So we are getting there. We've put the money, we've put the project.
$1.8 billion over 5 years. Shoal Lake's share didn't come easy. First, the community needed a road in. There were decades of lobbying. The government ultimately financed the project. The band managed it, making sure it got built during COVID.
It's unbelievable. Also, it's about that time.
Testing for the chlorine residual.
Building these plants is one thing. Millions more are being pledged for maintenance and training. People like plant operator Anthony Green, now responsible for the health of his community.
Oh man, I'm kind of shaking right now.
The government says several other projects are near completion, but is no longer holding itself to a firm date. Shoal Lake, now a clear example of how complex simply turning on a tap can be. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Shoal Lake 40 First Nation.
Simone Biles, another U.S. gymnast, today called out the FBI and others for investigative failures in the Larry Nassar case. Nassar is the U.S. gymnastic team doctor convicted of sexual abuse. Katie Simpson shows us the gymnast's powerful testimony.
If you'd raise your right hand.
They are survivors determined not to let history repeat itself, sharing their deeply painful trauma with lawmakers in the pursuit of accountability.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar And I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse.
Simone Biles and 3 of her teammates used today's hearing to demand the FBI face consequences for its mishandling of sexual abuse allegations against the team's former doctor, Larry Nassar. An independent report found agents waited months before doing anything about the claims, allowing Nassar to abuse dozens of additional victims.
It was like serving innocent children up to a pedophile on a silver platter.
They're also demanding independent investigations of the U.S. Olympic Committee and USA Gymnastics, which they say failed to protect them.
I'm deeply and profoundly sorry to each and every one of you.
Today marked the first time lawmakers were able to question the head of the FBI on what went so very wrong. Christopher Wray was not in charge at the time and had few answers.
On no planet is what happened in this case acceptable.
Senators now want to see legal action pursued against the agents involved, but the Department of Justice refused to participate in today's hearing, which the victims found insulting.
The message that they are sending that abuse doesn't matter.
There's been no public explanation as to why no charges have been laid. Survivors and lawmakers may have to wait until October for answers. That's when the Attorney General is expected to appear before the same committee. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
In India, the long-running fight between farmers and the government is heating up. Hundreds of thousands of farmers have been protesting since last fall. And as Salima Shivji tells us, they are still determined to make their voices heard.
The makeshift tents stretch for kilometers on end. This sprawling camp set up in protest nearly 10 months ago is fully entrenched. Here, the rhythm of life continues for hundreds of India's farmers, their mere presence a sign of defiance, protesting full-time against the country's new farming laws they say will ruin livelihoods and crush small farms. That's just fine by Mahendra Changar, 90 years old and living in a small tent with 9 others. This is my life now, he says. I'll give everything until we win this fight to repeal the laws. The movement is now bolstered by a recent sit-in in India's Haryana state. The farmers livid that a previous protest turned violent. They rallied and got what they wanted, a promised investigation into what happened. Dalvinder Singh was at the sit-in and calls it a key victory. We got justice, he says. It comes as the farmers are again mobilizing, fully rejecting the argument from India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi that the laws are needed to modernize the industry. That farmers will be better off. And so signs of a political showdown are crystallizing after the largest farmer rally yet in a crucial spot, Uttar Pradesh, India's most populous state, largely agricultural, where an election takes place early next year. At the protest site, it's all this organizing group can talk about as they plot next steps. We see that the BJP, Modi's party, is running scared, she says, and we will campaign against them. With 5 months until that state election, some say time is on the farmers' side.
For the first time, farmers will be a major factor and a major pressure coup in the elections in Uttar Pradesh.
A sign of the farmers' potential political heft. Even in the midst of a pandemic, these protests are very much a thorn in the Modi government's side. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Delhi.
And now it's over to Rosie with a special television event we are bringing you this week on The National.
Annamie Paul is going face-to-face with undecided voters. We're bringing them together virtually as we do so they can put their questions directly to the Green Party leader.
Where do we draw the line between our safety and our freedom and rights?
I think that the climate crisis is the most important issue to me.
What comes across is that there's a lack of unity with the Green Party.
Does that mean if you don't win your seat, you will no longer be leader? Face-to-face with Annamie Paul, that's next on The National. Hello and welcome to our final night of Face to Face with the federal leaders. I'm Rosemary Barton, again here in the National Studio in Toronto. And this week, as you know, we've asked each of the leaders of the major national federal parties to come here to sit down. And then, as we do, we give you some of the time, voters, so you can try and get some answers that you think you might need before you hit the polls. We've got our virtual audience watching live from home. They're going to comment as we go and also pay close attention. Look how eager they are. And we've got 4 undecided voters here to put their questions to one of the leaders. I'll jump in for clarity or for more specifics if needed. Tonight, though, it is, as it has been throughout this week, all about Canadians and trying to get information for voters. Our final night is Green Party Leader Annamie Paul joining us. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you making the time.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here with you and the audience. So good to see you.
And we asked each of our voters to do a quick video to introduce themselves to you and to all of us. Let's meet the first one.
Hi, my name is Abby Williams and I live in Mississauga. I migrated to Canada over 20 years ago. I'm a wife and a mother to 6 beautiful children. I love health, wellness, and food. I like eating more than I like cooking, which is so funny because I'm an author. I write vegan cookbooks. So I am an undecided voter because there's been issues, concerns, and things like that has come up in the past year or so. And from there, I will know who to vote for.
Okay, Abby, over to you.
So my first question to you is, if elected, what would you do differently when it comes to COVID-19 safety and the guidelines and the passports differently from the other parties?
So we've always said that the most important thing is information. We just want to know what to do. You know, we want to have clear information. We want to have consistent information. And because of that, we had been encouraging the government all throughout the pandemic to create a panel between levels of government that would create clear messaging that people could understand wherever they lived in the country. And so that's something that we would have done, and that includes me. Mask on, mask off, who knows these days? So clear information and coordinating anything that we can coordinate, that's what I suggest.
A follow-up, Abby?
Okay. Why can't we find an alternative to a COVID passport? Because I feel like that's not the answer. Where do we draw the line between our safety and our freedom and right as an individual?
Yes, and just to say, we haven't endorsed a passport. We know that passports are important to have for things like international travel. It's going to become very difficult to travel internationally without being able to prove that you've been vaccinated. I think that we do need to have that discussion about people's civil liberties. We know that we're going to have to, and this is the time for us to do that. We should be talking about how we persuade communities who have had those difficult relationships about why this is so important, and we haven't done enough of that education so far.
Abby, I'm going to jump in now. So is it that you are concerned that this is, that there are marginalized groups who are not being thought of when it comes to vaccine passports, or do you not like the idea at all?
What we say is that anyone who can get vaccinated, we really encourage them to do so, but we recognize there are some that won't. And I do not believe that we should be forcing anyone to get vaccinated.
Right. No one's being forced to get vaccinated, but they are being told if you want to do certain things in life, you're going to have to have proof of vaccination. Are you in support of that? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, and we do know that there are communities that are concerned, that are hesitant, that have had that bad interaction with our public health system. So are we going to create wedges between people in our society, or are we going to educate?
Do you know if all your candidates are vaccinated?
I don't know if they're all vaccinated, but certainly we have encouraged them all to do that.
Have you talked to them about it? Like, are there some people that you know haven't been vaccinated and you've reached out to them to talk about why it's important?
Well, we have made it very clear to all of them. I mean, the same messages that we've been giving to the public, that this is our best tool in defeating the pandemic, and that, of course, we need to model what we're asking others to do.
Okay. Let's move on to our next voter.
Hi, my name is Maren Mealy. I'm a 20-year-old with my education currently on hold because of COVID-19. I love spending time outdoors, making art, and I'm an avid political watcher. I'm very passionate about the climate crisis and ensuring that we are mobilizing towards a climate-just future in an intersectional way. Currently, I'm an undecided voter because none of the federal parties have displayed to me that they are able to follow through on their campaign promises in the areas that are important to me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how parties are going to put systems in place that ensure that they have accountability for these issues, and also making sure that they are addressing the climate crisis with the urgency that it demands.
Okay, Marin, over to you.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. My question to you is that you're making these big promises on the climate during your campaign, but how do we ensure that they don't simply remain campaign promises and are translated into concrete policy and legislation?
Thank you so much for your question. When we've made promises and had a chance to follow through on them, we always have. In the case of Parliament, even with a small caucus in the last Parliament, we always punch above our weight. And over the years, you can see how our climate ideas have made their way into the mainstream of politics. We were talking about carbon pricing years and years before it happened. And so I would say to you that any Green that is elected to Parliament is someone that you can count on, absolutely. We were very disappointed with the Climate Accountability Act. And in fact, and it was not easy to do because a lot of environmental and climate groups were supportive of it. It wasn't enough, it didn't go far enough, it didn't meet the same standards as other countries who have accountability acts. So even when it's tough, we will say what needs to be done and then also propose action.
Thanks for those, Marin. I'll ask a follow-up to that, and then I have a couple specific sort of policy questions. If a voter is in a riding without a Green candidate, because you don't have candidates in all 338 ridings, what are you advising them to do? Who should they vote for if they don't have someone from your party?
They should vote for the MP, the representative that they believe is going back to Ottawa to get to work with all of the other parties on the climate. This is not a partisan issue. In the way that the pandemic is not and was not a partisan issue.
Sure, but the difference, I guess, there is everyone wanted the pandemic to end. Not everyone wants climate change to be fought at the same level, right? So I realize you may not say endorse a party here, but some people are further off from the goal than others.
I think you need to look at the candidates in your riding and ask who is going to be my climate champion. Then you should be able to tell them that this is what my community wants you to do and expect that they do it in Ottawa.
Sure, but you would also admit that there are some parties that are not going very quickly.
Well, the People's Party seems to need a little more...
Well, the Conservative Party, too, is at 30%, wouldn't even increase the targets.
Well,
right?
you know, really, Rosie, it's the difference between the Liberals and the Conservatives is that the Conservatives are being honest that what they're planning to do is not going to get us past 30% greenhouse gas emissions reductions. The Liberals are pretending that it's going to get us to net zero by 2050 when they know full well that it won't. There is no way for us to continue doing the things that they're planning to continue to do and to reduce greenhouse gases even by 30%.
I want to ask you, though, about your plan. 60% cut below 2005 levels. You would have to, in your plan, you say, increase carbon taxes by $25 per ton each year, starting in 2022 up until 2030. All that money that you're collecting then, does that go back to Canadians the way it does now? Okay.
Absolutely. It's intended to be revenue neutral. Okay. And so the idea is it comes in and it goes back out.
That's still a huge increase. That's a lot of money for families to put out up front. How do regular families adjust to such an aggressive carbon pricing plan?
Well, again, it is neutral, and you can design it in a way so that the money, you can estimate the money and get the money to people up front. And we want to make sure absolutely that it is not only revenue neutral, but it's also something that isn't difficult and a burden to people. And at the same time, we know that carbon pricing produces innovation, which makes it usually not necessary to get to that kind of level.
Andrew Weaver is the former Green Party leader in British Columbia. He not only has endorsed the Liberals' plan, but he's also campaigning with Mr. Trudeau. What does that tell people who support Greens?
That I guess he supports the Liberal Party in this election. I mean, he's, you know, with all due respect to Andrew, and I do respect him very much, and I appreciate the support that he's offered me, I just think that he's wrong. And not only do I think that he's wrong, Environment Canada has said very clearly that even if we do everything that the Liberals are proposing, we're not going to get to the 40% target.
When we come back, more Face to Face on The National. What do you say to people who say that's too fast and it's too reckless, that you don't care enough about economic growth?
If any harm comes to Anna or the boy, I'll hunt you down and kill you.
Is that your son?
Indeed.
Murdoch Mysteries, new episode.
Hey, where's the kid? Now, Harry.
Monday at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem.
CBC News app is your source for election news as it happens.
Welcome back to Face to Face. Let's get to the next questioner.
My name is Alexandre Carré. I'm 36 years old. I work in the video game industry. I am a music geek. I was born in Montreal. I was raised in poverty. The issues that I care about are social equality, a good pandemic response, and a greener economy. The reason why I vote for these types of issues is that I was able to rise from poverty. I would like to have everyone to have the equal opportunities that I've had.
Okay, Alex, off you go.
My question is, your platform states that the Green Party plans to replace every fossil fuel job with high-paying green sector jobs. Could you describe the process and how long would that take to get there?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So we know from the experience of countries that have gone further, faster than we have in the transition, that the jobs that are created in the green sector, that they are very transferable, that the kind of skills you get working out in the oil patch are the kind of skills that you need to be a worker in renewable energies, for instance. And the jobs pay more. They usually pay between 5 and 10% more. They're safer. So we're talking about energy in Canada. Absolutely, we should be an energy superpower, but it should be renewable energy. And those energy workers in one field, they can be transferred immediately into those jobs without big retraining programs.
Thank you for that, Annamie. I do have a follow-up question, though. Nearly half of Canadians, according to an Ipsos survey study, that don't think that environmentalism is a top priority issue. My question is, if you ever get elected, if you do, how will you be able to convince them?
More and more, I'm old enough, I'm in my late 40s, so I'm old enough to remember a time when we were talking about whether climate change was real and whether global warming was a real thing. And most people in Canada, overwhelmingly, even in the regions, again, where people like to think that there's a difference of opinion, they believe it. And they also believe that there isn't any choice that we have to make between the economy and the environment. I mean, these are just facts, and we should be able to speak with one voice. And I think if we can, then that is the last missing link that gets those last few people where we need them to be.
What will be your first action once you get elected?
Really, the thing that I believe is going to make the biggest difference is committing to work to change the culture in Ottawa. We have let partisanship get in the way of true action on the climate, where it has become a political football when we should be working together.
Okay, Alex, I'll go with a couple. We are now in an election where everyone has committed to some sort of carbon pricing. That's different than even 2 years ago.
Yep.
What does that tell you about that shift in terms of how easy it would be to get the politics? I mean, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Having been around a long time, I'm sorry to tell you. But in terms of what that conversation would be if it wasn't as big a wedge as it has been in the past.
First, you're right. We have come a long way. And, I give our party credit for that, not full credit. There are many people in civil society who've worked a really long time to get us this far. We still have further to go and not as much time. There were many people that didn't believe that even in the face of a pandemic, given how divisive politics had become, how polarized politics had become, that we would ever be able to unify that quickly to release so many resources for people to really turn on a dime the way that we did. We've got to be able to do that when it counts again. And I believe that the climate is one of those issues. So I remain hopeful and optimistic that we can do it.
You want to move more aggressively than everyone else, and you say it can happen. What do you say to people who say that's too fast and it's too reckless, that you don't care enough about economic growth?
We need to look at all the other major economies that are making this a priority, and we can't possibly tell ourselves that they've all decided collectively that they're going to ruin their economies.
At a time when we are trying to pull our way out of a pandemic recession, for some people that might be a legitimate question. That's too much right now.
Yeah. Well, two things. First, our climate plan, it is absolutely in line in terms of targets, in terms of speed with our international partners. If we use our stimulus money to accelerate our transition to net zero, the kind of jobs that it will create, the kind of infrastructure and innovation is the thing that will set us up for the future.
You see that some people think that's just a bit too fast.
Well, again, it's the pace that our international partners have set for themselves. It's the pace that the United Nations has said that we need to take.
Time for a quick break, but up next.
My question is, what can you say to convince me to trust the Green Party and give you my vote when it seems that the party members themselves are not getting along?
They're back for a new season
Awesome, I can't wait.
with a new dragon.
Gonna hang out with the cool kids.
This election, your vote matters. CBC News is here to provide you with the election tools you need to make an informed decision. Informed by you. Canada Votes 2021.
Welcome back to Face to Face. Let's get to the next questioner.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Brule. I live in Ottawa, Ontario. I'm a UBC kinesiology graduate
former rugby player, and a pet parent. I love the outdoors, gardening, and taking my dog for long walks on the river pathway. The climate emergency is the #1 issue for me. I believe that every issue, including affordable housing, healthcare, childcare, labor shortages, these need to be tied to the underlying climate emergency, because at the end of the day, none of these issues will matter when our houses, hospitals, schools, and jobs are on fire or underwater. I'm an undecided voter because I'm not sure the current leaders really understand this issue.
Okay, Jennifer, off you go with Ms. Paul there.
So my question is, what can you say to convince me to trust the Green Party and give you my vote when it seems that the party members themselves are not getting along?
Thank you for the question. And you're right. There has been a lot of turmoil. There has been a lack of unity. So I'm very sorry for that. And I really wish that it were otherwise. What I would say, though, is that, Greens share a set of core values. And certainly right at the top is the climate. That's something that's never going to change. And so anyone who is in a riding where we have a Green running can feel confident that they're sending someone to Ottawa that is always going to make that a priority.
So, if, for example, like if the entire party doesn't have to get vaccinated, and then you have sides splitting, one side says get vaccinated, one side doesn't, how can you bring that together and still put climate up top?
Our parliament was designed in a way so that MPs were supposed to be able to have those disagreements. So this isn't something that we should be afraid of. As long as we can meet and speak civilly with each other and respectfully, we might actually learn something from disagreeing with each other.
Jennifer, I'm going to do a couple follow-ups. I guess people don't really understand what happened. Is it that people inside your party didn't like you? Is it, what happened there, and is it resolved?
I mean, it's not just one thing. We had a leadership race. After many years, I was elected with a particular mandate, which is one that is important, but can sometimes be uncomfortable. Yeah. I can't say when people like me are elected to roles like this, because I'm one of only a couple of people like myself to be elected to a role like this. But to get to this place, I have demonstrated leadership in many other forums.
Right.
And so, we can't start saying that systemic things only stop applying when you become the leader of parties. So it's very difficult. I know that it's disappointing to many people who are prioritizing the climate. But what I do know is that, again, when the chips are on the table, when we've had the opportunity to make a difference on the climate, we have always done that.
So I'm just confused as to how we could allow just some parties, members of parliament, not want to get the vaccine, but also be leaders. In terms of vaccines, again, they're lifesavers, and they have been for a long time, and it's absolutely a critical part of defeating this particular pandemic. This is the nuanced part of politics, though. We have communities, we have Indigenous communities, we have religious communities, we have racialized communities as well, who have had terrible relationships with the healthcare system. We have to educate people, and then I believe that really most of that will resolve itself.
Okay, I'm going to do a couple more questions, Jennifer. I hope that helped you. You have said during this campaign that you didn't go to some ridings because you wanted to make sure that you would help people and not hurt people. Mm-hmm. Do you think you are a liability in some places in the country? And what did you mean by that?
I think because of what has happened, that absolutely I could be a distraction. And I want to make sure that anything I do helps and doesn't harm. One of the reasons that I'm here is that the election came when it did. And I don't feel we should have had it, but it did. And I wanted the party to have a leader going into this election. I wanted our candidates to have their very best shot. And since I'm here for that, I want to make sure I'm not doing anything to hurt them.
Okay, so does that mean if you don't win your seat, you will no longer be leader?
I'm going to think about that after the 20th. I personally have found that there's no way to get through this except to focus on doing all that you can to support your candidates and to win yourself. And going into this election leaderless would have been a terrible disservice.
I take your point, but
Yeah.
it's pretty rare to have an election campaign where there's a leader who is even thinking about leaving her job, and is trying to tell herself, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to stay for the good of the party and the candidates. What does that say?
Well, it says that, again, We entered this election not as far down the road as I would have liked. We entered it weakened. And you're right, this is an extraordinary set of circumstances. We also have the complicating factor of the pandemic as well. I've been a leader only within the context of the pandemic. So there's a lot of exceptional things going on here.
Face to Face with Annamie Paul continues right after this. Do you now, though, feel a little disillusioned that this so-called political family of yours has not maybe lived up to what you wanted, if you're already thinking that you don't want to be the leader of the family anymore?
CBC News app is your source for election news as it happens.
Would you ever consider running for another party?
I have never been a member of another party. The Green Party is the only political family that I have ever had in politics.
Okay. Do you now, though, feel a little disillusioned that this so-called political family of yours has not maybe lived up to what you wanted, if you're already thinking that you don't want to be the leader of the family anymore?
Well, some of the very best moments of my life and some of the very best people that I've ever met in my life, I've met through the Green Party. I'm incredibly grateful for that. This has been, again, a very difficult period, and more than anything, as I said, I want people to really focus on the extraordinary candidates that we're running. We are presenting people who would bring a different culture to Ottawa. Our candidates deserve every chance to be considered by the voters.
Have you done any campaign events with Elizabeth May? Do you speak to Elizabeth May?
I haven't been out to BC at all. I've been kind of leaning heavily on the BC case on with Elizabeth and Paul because they're out there,
Right.
They're on the ground. So they're definitely shouldering a lot of the BC
Right.
campaigning in this election.
And your decision to primarily campaign within your riding in Toronto Centre for your own seat, do you still believe that that was the right thing to do?
I feel that the right thing to do was to meet the voters that ultimately are going to vote for me to be their representative and give them that respect. I have to earn their vote.
I'll just end on the issue of strategic voting. What do you say to those Canadians who really think that strategic voting is something they really have to think about, particularly because the race is so tight?
Yeah. People, when they're voting, they need to ask themselves, are we sending back people who are going to give us more of the same, who are going to lead us down the same road that we've been going down for all of these years, where we haven't had action on all of these things that I've been asked about today, or are we going to send some new voices there? Okay. People are tired of the culture of Ottawa. That means electing some new people if you're tired of it. Okay. And then I guess the last thing I would say is, again, Greens prove their worth whenever they're elected.
Okay, Ms. Paul, thank you for making the time from the campaign. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is our final night of our face-to-face series. We hope it helps all of you make an informed choice if you haven't already. We want to thank our virtual audience members watching this live with us, and of course, all those smart questioners who hopefully this helped them, and of course, Annamie Paul, and all the other party leaders for making time for us during this last busy week. If you missed any of our conversations, you can find them on the CBC News app and on CBC Gem. I'm Rosemary Barton. Good night. I'll see you back here for election night, though probably a few times before too. Bye-bye.